just processing a lot of things and trying to figure out, how to be around people again, partly. So, in this project, I'm talking to people. We're just kind of sitting here and we're actually ignoring that the camera exists, really. And I'm doing these long exposure, really just like a documentation of our conversation more than anything. And it results in a portrait, but, there's this motion blur, and it's also crossed with my desire to explore this process. I've been making chemigrams for the last 5 years, so it's typically this cameraless form of photography where you're just drawing or painting directly onto photo paper. And I've been wanting to explore trying to pull a camera back into the process in this weird masochistic sort of long process. So it involves silk screen. And so it really just kind of, the timing was beautiful to try to figure out a way. Like, I knew I wanted to work with portraiture for this specific process, but I wasn't quite sure how. And so it's just like a really fortunate time to be able to talk to people one-on-one and see what their experiences have been and how their life is different. And then to be able to explore this technical process that I've just been wanting to do for so long.
It's really cool. It really is the perfect moment for it. And it's like, for better or for worse, we're living through this like historic time. So it's interesting too that you're bringing this historical process back in and making it contemporary. And So tell me a little bit about the process. You've got peanut butter laid out here.
Yeah, peanut butter, man. So, I think to explain what a chemigram typically is, like, this is a good example right here. Typically, you're just kind of drawing or painting, like I said. So in this case, I was actually using a stick of butter. And so you're using a resist with photo paper, and a resist can be anything at all. It's just something that's going to stick to the photo paper for any period of time. And so I drew that mark, and then in this case, the paper goes into the fixer first. So the background goes white, and the butter protects the drawing. You rinse it off, you take off the butter, and then it goes into the developer, so the mark turns black. You can do it reversed, and you can do it in a certain order that will also pull color out of the black and white paper. So this is the kind of like non-representational or abstract work I've been doing for a long time. But with this process, this is where I started thinking about, how do I figure out a way to apply a resist to photo paper that pulls the photograph back into it. So I'm using silk screens after I photograph people, and then I got to print up a digital negative, burn the screen, and then I spent a while trying to figure out what's going to be a good resist that will go through a silk screen, will cling to the paper long enough for the chemical to do its thing without the chemical dissolving it. So I went through a lot of experiments, and peanut butter, the cheaper the better, is what turns out works here. So so pass that through, and then it'll go through, and I don't know, do we want to do the demo now? Or
that'd be awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna, this is like my makeshift, so I've got a piece of paper already under here, and this is what I've learned I've got to do to keep this in place. How was that? I gotta do it a second time though.
So it's like an oil and water sort of situation.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool, like, doing traditional chemigrams, just the variety of things that you can use, and you just get this crazy range of just marks and textures and like I said, colors. I think that's part of the magic of it, is that you're getting like this color out of black and white paper.
Yeah, the chemistry of it mixed with like the element of surprise is really cool. So there's like some control and some spontaneity in it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of, when I first started doing this, it was that mystery and not knowing what you're going to get that really drew me to the process. But there's also, there is an element of control over there's other steps of it.
That must be really satisfying too, for like people to come in and see and be a part of it.
Yeah, definitely. So you can kind of see, like, it looks like a negative image there. So then this has to go in the developer first, because anywhere I don't have peanut butter, I want that to turn black. Alright, I'm gonna grab this. And gloves, that's not use your gloves, kids.
So we're right out here on Bull Street, by the way. If you'd like to book your session to sit with Bridget and get your portrait made, this Thursday and Friday we have some openings. So make an appointment or even just stop by if you're in the area and check it out.
Alrighty, here we go. First, and then we gotta pull it up because you gotta watch the magic moment.
Amazing. Oh, it's so cool.
Oh, it doesn't look too bad, yeah.
Oh, the turn of the head, wow.
Right, so that's, part of this is that, there's already this abstraction with this process, with it being a chemigram, but also, when people are sitting in front of me, the shutter is open for 2 seconds, so I'm getting these kind of like, it's not multiple exposure, but, depending on how they move. And that's really what I'm looking for in the portrait is that documentation of time passing. So I'm taking, 50 to 80 pictures of each person. I gotta find the ones that work, but I love this one of Tieko with his eye right there.
Yeah, that's so great.
Right. And then, so there's still a lot on here, like everything that's white is still sensitive to light. So I won't belabor this too much, but I do want to try it. This one looks pretty good. So this is fixed, and I've just kind of learned if I can. So I'm wiping off some of that peanut butter. And then the fix is going to preserve parts in white. Get that mix of fixer and peanut butter. I don't know how I feel about that. Right? And then a little bit more maybe. So do that. And then we'll make this one a little quick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse off the rest of the peanut butter here. Do a quick jaunt into the fixer. And when you do a quick fix, and then go back to the developer, that's where you get your color. See what we get here. Purple, little pink.
Look at that, wow.
Yeah. You could even. So you can, you can get like different marks with this, just depending on how you apply things.
Yeah, some of those lines that are in there, where do those come from?
That is probably just, I pushed the paper down too much, and that's where it hit. Yeah. But, but some of that you can control and make it work for you.
Yeah, that's some character to it.
Yeah, so in that sense, each one of these is unique. Even though I'm interested in, well, when you think about photography and even printmaking to a certain degree, it's about this replication. There's always this idea of editions, and I've never really been into that. Like even when I did straight photography, I just want to make kind of unique prints. So even though you're working with a silk screen, the chemigram itself is always a unique thing that you can't replicate. So.
Yeah, and you mentioned too before we were on air this idea of like bringing your hand back into it. A lot of your other people, like if you're laying out the pennies or you're sewing with the sewing machine, with photo paper. I found that really fascinating.
Yeah. I just when I first started studying photography, it was the late '90s and pre-digital stuff, and I actually got pretty bored with the darkroom right away, just because the silver gelatin print was like the thing you did. That was like the standard way to make a photo, and so I did a lot of other work through the 2000s, and then when digital really took over, it felt like we had all this rediscovery about what you can do in a darkroom that maybe people weren't thinking about in decades past. So I got, especially when I got introduced to the chemigram, I was like, oh, this is where that missing mark of my hand that I always wanted out of photography, like it's where I could literally bring it back into the work. So I've kind of been running with different formats of the chemigram ever since. So Yeah.
Thanks so much for doing that demo.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
really
yeah.
cool to see. You can see some of the other portraits that have been made here. Did you maybe want to talk about like the experience of the residency so far and how it's been?
Yeah. So it's, it's interesting because when I was writing the proposal, it was still like winter, and I was just typing it out and thinking like, wow, there will be a time when I can sit in a room with somebody unmasked and have a conversation. Like, again, we locked down pretty hard. So yeah, I wasn't so sure whether I was gonna feel like a little nervous about being with people, but fortunately, it hasn't felt that way, and it's been great. Like, people have been, like, just, talking to me about really personal things too, and so just to like, and also just to get different perspectives of how people got through the last year, and get the whole range of, people being very nervous and still being nervous, and people who are like, nah, life didn't change that much, so it's, I feel like I've been in my head so much in the last year that it's been wonderful to just like sit down and have, this. And so the sessions are like, I've put them at 30 minutes, and they don't have to be that long, but I'm finding a lot of them, like, we're going on longer just because we're enjoying talking, So that's been great. And I've met people who I don't know, and to instantly sit down with a stranger and like connect with them with that conversation, it's been really wonderful.
Well, it's a fantastic project. If you'd like,
Thanks.
again, if you'd like to come in and meet Bridget and be part of it and have a conversation, get your portrait made, check out our website Thursday and Friday. We have some openings. So, Bridget, thanks so much
Thank you
for talking with me today. It's been wonderful.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.